Today, I analysed the argument between Stolitz and Apology Tour. Hope you guys enjoy. Alright, we've got 4 minutes and 36 seconds to get through, so let's just get straight into it.
Hello, Stolas.
Okay, so as we see, the first thing that Stolas does when he sees Blitz climb over that fence is have a severe frown on his face and just bury his face in that book. He does not want to talk to Blitz right now. And one thing that I will address is that some people think that this scene takes place a month after full moon, but I personally think that it's the next day. And going off that way of thinking, it just opens up a lot more opportunities to analyze and probably makes this video a lot longer, seeing as there's a lot more connotations to the night before. So yeah, I will be assuming that this happens around 12 hours after the last episode, though of course I could be completely wrong. But anyway, that thought itself won't come up as often as you might think. It'll only add like, what, 2 minutes of running time to this video, so it's not much. But here is where we drift into analysis mode now. As we can see, Blitz is climbing over this fence, and that kind of signals something there, that Stolas doesn't want to see him, and Blitz has had to go to such lengths as to climb over the fence to go and see him. And going off this, you can insinuate that the doors were locked and the windows, so he literally could not get in, so he had to climb over the fence, which just shows that Stolas really doesn't want to see him because he's taking these extra precautions. He's not responding to his messages. We see that later on as well. He still doesn't respond to the messages, well, especially not after this argument. So yeah, he doesn't really want to see him, but he's here now, so whatever.
You haven't been answering my text, and I sent you a bunch of funny shit, so what gives?
I was hoping my lack of ha-has in response to the photos you sent would be an indicator I didn't want to talk right now.
Okay, so there's some confirmation that he wasn't responding to the messages, so obviously Blitz is confused, and you can see in his eyes, he's very worried, like he has a worried look on his face. He's genuinely concerned, maybe not about Stolas' mental state, but more about the relationship and more of the deal. The arrangement that they had that we can see Blitz was beginning to enjoy in full moon, it's just been ripped from him, from his life, taken once again under his nose completely suddenly. It really emphasizes the feeling of you don't understand the worth of something until it's gone. Until you can no longer do something, you don't realize how much you actually enjoyed it and valued it in your life as a part of your routine, well-being, all those things. So you can see how worried Blitz is when he realizes since Stolas is no longer reacting to his messages, replying, nothing, it's something that Blitz has never seen Stolas do before. So he would have noticed that and realized, oh wait, this is kind of serious. And that ultimately is what led Blitz to come in here this morning. But now on to Stolas. Stolas is very monotone in his reply when Blitz asks him why he's not been responding to his messages, and he just very sarcastically states the obvious, because Stolas really tore his heart out, really got deep in the feels in full moon, and expressed to Blitz his true emotions. So now that he's done all that, he's poured his heart out in front of him, and Blitz just disregards it, pushes it aside, and just takes it as a joke, which then obviously leads to Blitz being very upset and shouting and screaming, all that stuff. Stolas is very drained, which is what makes me think obviously that it's the next day, it's the day afterwards, because he's got no emotion left in him to show. Only a neutral one that doesn't take much effort to do. He's really just trying to have some time on his own right now and process his thoughts, and Blitz is invading that space, literally. And I feel like the general consensus in the community now is that they just need to leave each other alone by this point, especially by the end of this episode. Stolas is trying to be happy with some other guy, maybe it's just a one-night stand, but anyway, he's trying to be happy with other people and talk to others, and Blitz is trying to improve on himself and become a better person. So right now, what I and many others agree upon, they've both done wrong, but you can't really label one or the other as at fault, and they should either attempt to apologize for their actions or leave each other alone until they're both prepared to speak again and then apologize. And this here is Blitz's first attempt at saying sorry, and well, and then there was his second attempt, which, well, so really what I consider to be the best course of action is that they both leave each other alone and improve upon themselves and become happier, and then they go and apologize to each other. And you know what? Screw the emphasis on the apology. More emphasis on the each other, because they've both done wrong to each other. But that still doesn't mean that I'm saying that they're both at fault. It's very confusing, but if you've seen a video of mine before, you'll understand that I personally think that they're both to blame, yet neither of them are. If you need an explanation for that, you can go and see one of my other videos. They go a lot more in depth on this situation.
Oh, come on, Stolas. We just had a rough night. Besides, you always want to hear from me.
Blitz.
Now, as we can see, the first thing that Blitz jumps to is arousal to attempt to persuade Stolas back into a good mood. He's attempting to brush it off, saying, oh, it was just a rough night, blah, 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 but really it isn't. Obviously, we know that, but we can't say that to them. Complex characters and all that. But really, if you think about it, Blitz is going at this with the wrong intentions. He wants the arrangement back so he can be happy and doing that stuff, escaping from his reality. Whereas Stolas, now at least, wants Blitz to be happy and present in the moment while they're together. He doesn't want him to use it as an escape like he does now. But that's why why I put that little bit in brackets then. Originally, Stolas only wanted this arrangement for what was brought to the table regarding him, the pleasure and stuff. And though his mindset has changed over time, his way of showing that new mindset change hasn't. He's remained the same in his actions. He still teased him, he still mentioned that he's an imp, and he still talked down to him in a very playful sense, yes, but still. Despite the fantasy, if he wants to send a message to Blitz that's not that, he would have had to stray away from what he usually does to keep Blitz engaged. But that in turn will disengage Blitz because it's such a sudden change, he wouldn't know how to adapt to it, so he'd just run away from the situation. That's what Blitz is like. He did it with Veronica when she changed up her mood and finally said that she loved him and wanted an actual relationship with him that was fulfilling and stuff like that. He immediately noticed that and went, whoa, I'm gonna run away from the situation, and did all that bad stuff that he did, which I am laughing at, but I will say it is a bad situation for Veronica. But anyway, let's just ignore that for now. This is about Stolitz. So yeah, Stolas could have done better if he just changed up his actions and showed that he wanted to love Blitz and he wanted to cherish him, and he did cherish him, not for being an imp and not for bringing him pleasure, but for bringing him happiness. Yes, that would have been better on Stolas' side, that's what he could have done. But knowing Blitz and how he's reacted once other partners have started to show affection to him, that would almost rule it out because we know how he would act, or we can assume, based on prior knowledge of what we know of Blitz, how he would act if Stolas did do that. So yes, as I said in my full moon analysis, Stolas did do wrong by dumping all of these new actions and emotions onto him, and like I said in that video, it could have been done in a more subtle way, but the way that some people are bringing it up, like, you know, you could just change completely and show him that you love him and stuff, but that wouldn't necessarily work. It would have had to be gradual over time, little hints being dropped. A gradual change. All Stolas actually did was just drop hints that Blitz didn't notice. The hints weren't enough. He couldn't just arbitrarily drop those because he wouldn't really think of them. That tactic didn't work because he'd just sprinkle those breadcrumbs into conversation and Blitz wouldn't acknowledge them because it'd just be like, oh, that's just weird, whatever. But if he gradually became more accepting of Blitz and started to love him more, and he did try and do that by saying, you know, you can just come over, we can skip the arrangement, we could just talk, cuddle, there is still a better way to do it, making it a small transition period and refraining from any big changes. But then again, I can see Stolas' situation when he was like, it's now or never, it's the full moon, I need to tell him, I need to give him this crystal, this is how it has to be. I get that. He was under a lot of pressure from himself right then in that moment. So while I can sympathize with him, his arguments as to why that was okay to do, I do not agree with. And I have a lot of sympathy for Blitz as well because of how he is as a person and how blind he is to his own actions, such as right now.
What is it you want?
I want to feel like I'm earning my way to Earth. Okay, so get your tight feathered ass out of that lawn chair and into the bedroom so I can fuck it.
Okay, so Stolas asks him what he wants. Blitz replies, but as you can see in that, the tone changes quite quickly. He begins by genuinely coming from the heart and saying that he wants to feel like he's earning it, but then immediately just flips, puts that mask back on, and goes back to the tactic of sexual arousal, the thing that he knows works, and has worked previously for a long time. He doesn't know another way to go at it, since he's so used to one-night stands and stuff, where the emotion is not needed or required, since it's something he's confident in because it's worked so many times, he knows that he can do it well. Yet Stolas is having none of it. He didn't even flinch for a second like he did in the past episode. He literally keeps that face on at all times. He's always against Blitz because he wants to be on his own. He's literally not got a desire for it right now.
Wow. Poetry. I'm sure such a statement would have had me swooning by now.
Now here's the thought that's just occurred in my brain at this moment. Stolas could be using this frown, this depressive state, as a mask in of itself to try and deter Blitz and get him away because he knows that it's bad for him. So if we're going off that mindset, right now they're just as bad as each other. And Stolas says with sarcasm once again, basically what Blitz was thinking. Blitz was thinking, well, this always gets him, I'm just gonna keep doing that. And then Stolas is like, yeah, I know what you're thinking. This always does work. Why is it not working right now? He just states the obvious in such a great way. That's very well orchestrated and executed in this scene.
Yeah, sure. Okay, that was a shitty way for me to say it, but you usually like it when I talk all dirty and fucky and shit.
Literally what I just said. Stolas caught Blitz off guard because he literally just spoke his mind, and then Blitz is like, yeah, I agree, that is kind of what I was thinking. He's breaking, that mask is kind of slipping, and he has to keep putting it on to be assertive. Stolas is reading him right now. He's doing what he never really has, and he's actually reading and analyzing the emotions of Blitz. He must have done a lot of thinking in those 12 hours, as if he couldn't sleep after the situation. And he brings that up in the All To You song, where he says that he's been missing every sign and every glance and every turn, all those different things that Blitz has been doing that he never noticed or acknowledged. Now he is doing that, he is acknowledging those emotions and he's noticing them and he's calling Blitz out on them through a very subtle manner that still gets to him. He doesn't want to rile Blitz up, but he wants to let him know that he understands his emotions and he's not going to be fooled once again by him. Blitz's mask will no longer deceive Stolas. But then, weirdly enough, since Stolas is quite new to this type of behavior, he ends up riling him up anyway because he makes Blitz feel weak. So weak that the mask can't hide that. So he just has to outburst in rage. That is how it works, really. He tries to act confident to seem like he's on top, but when he gets really beat down, he just goes straight for the jugular and tries to break that ego of the other being.
Come on, we don't do words, we do sex.
As shocking as this might seem, Blitz,
Did you hear Brandon's execution there? He cracked in his voice, it switched a little bit. Not only is his metaphorical mask breaking, so are his words, his voice, and his cadence. They are also breaking, literally breaking, because he's breaking, cracking under the pressure. As the mask is cracking, so is the rest of him. Even down to his body language, the animators did that so well, he starts to kind of like curl up a little bit.
I don't think I'm in the mood to do sex with you. In fact, I don't think I'm even in the mood to do words with you.
So obviously that is kind of a Pensious reference right there. No, I'm not in the mood to do sex with you. Though obviously he does actually bring up quite an interesting point. He outright says to Blitz that he's not in the mood for anything right now. He just wants to be left alone with him and his thoughts and this book or whatever he's reading. It seems to be a romantic novel or maybe just a tutorial about how to love someone. How to have a healthy relationship. Hell style, I don't know. But he does make it very clear to Blitz and you can see the way that his face is moving right now, or it had moved. This is a still image. He's not really happy with that response at all. I mean, who would be if you've come all this way to go and see someone, maybe for the wrong intentions, but still, and they're just telling you, no, I'm not interested, I don't even want to talk to you, like, get out of my face. That is really hard to hear. So I do feel for Blitz in this moment, but the way that he's coming at him right afterwards, practically ready for a fight, because he opens it straight up with the wrong intention, not even saying sorry for what he himself has done. Stolas doesn't have to apologize. I've said this previously. You apologize to someone if you're in the wrong. It doesn't matter if they are also in the wrong. You don't go there expecting one from them also. You go there, say, I'm sorry, you don't need to apologize, you are in the wrong, you've done some wrong things, but I can't make you apologize, so I'm here to apologize to you. That's how it should be. And then, if Stolas apologized for himself afterwards, then you could kind of talk about being friends again or whatever. But still, you shouldn't have come here right afterwards anyway. You should have let it sit. Though obviously I do understand this is very unfamiliar to Blitz. This territory is quite uncharted, so I can't drop all the blame onto him, nor can I drop it all onto Stolas, as I've been saying this entire time. Both and neither, guys. Both and neither.
So how about you respect that?
Oh, come on, Stolas, you can't mean that.
Stolas then says you should respect that, which is true. It doesn't matter what he's done. He could be the worst man in the world. He could have murdered thousands of people. But if they're not causing any harm to people and they just want to be on their own, they have that right and you should respect that right. In Blitz and many others' eyes, Stolas is a horrible person. But if he just wants to be on his own and not hurt anyone, it's basically solitary confinement. You literally give that as a punishment to people who've done horrible things. If he wants to be in a solitary situation on his own, you should obviously respect that because he literally doesn't want to bother anyone. He wants to just be on his own with his own thoughts, which is completely valid. If he was gesturing Blitz to go away because he himself wanted to go and do something terrible, that's when the respect thing comes into question. But as of now, all we can see on the surface here is that he doesn't want Blitz around, he doesn't want anyone around, he just wants to be on his own. He's not out to harm other people, he's not telling Blitz to go away so he can go and harm someone else. He literally just wants to be on his own, and Blitz should respect that.
You always love seeing this.
Seeing you right now is hard.
So Blitz tries to use that humor again and obviously gets his mask back on. He's just doubting everything that Stolas says. He's like, you don't mean this, blah, blah, blah. He literally wants Stolas to forget everything and just focus on the one thing that Blitz wants him to focus on so then he can get his pleasure and his happiness and his safe space in a way, which is obviously the wrong thing to do because people have a right to think and all that stuff, but this is how Blitz is and he really needs to change. Like, this isn't even a small issue. This is something that really does need to be changed. People should be allowed to think for themselves. Blitz has no authority over what other people think and feel. He doesn't have that power, and no one should have that power to be able to manipulate that and change it to his own liking. And then Stolas gets a bit shouty, which you could say is him making the first move, initiating that aggressive behavior, coercing Blitz to allow his aggressive behavior to come out. But he really is being overwhelmed right now because Blitz is just giving him what he completely, like, the opposite of the spectrum of what he wants right now. Stolas is looking for peace, quiet, and calm, and Blitz is approaching him, requesting an act that requires a lot of energy, the complete opposite of the calmness that he's seeking for right now. It honestly isn't the most fair on Stolas right now, seeing that Blitz did open this. We can say that by this point, Blitz is more at fault since he started this, but in the overall situation, the relationship relationship as a whole. You know what? See previous.
I don't want to feel worse than I already do. It's bad enough. I got an invite to this anti-Blitzø party, an honorary invite for being your freshest ex.
So Stolas says exactly what I was thinking. I didn't even watch this beforehand. He says that it's the complete opposite of what he's looking for right now. That is literally what I said. That's insane. Bear in mind, I did not watch this previously. I've literally just got to record it last week and I haven't looked at it since. These are complete fresh thoughts. How cool is that? But yeah, he mentions the WHAAAT party, blah, blah, blah. Not much to say there since it's obviously just a part of the plot that kind of makes it move on. So yeah, that's all I really have to say for this segment.
Anti-Blitzo party? Who the fuck's behind this?
Oh, it's entirely immature. I'd never indulge this nonsense.
So Blitz is immediately on the aggressive since Stolas really gave him the leeway to do it because he began being aggressive previously. Blitz now thinks that it's just okay to shout. And Stolas is playing it off, just disregarding it as immature, which is what I have said previously about that party as a whole. So it is cool to see that Stolas is wise enough to understand that, but still, he may be wildly intelligent, but because of the limited interaction that he's had with other people or demons, you can't really say that he's very well educated on people as a whole.
Silly.
Real silly, real fucking classy.
Kind of them to invite me, though.
Stolas kind of adds that in there as a snide remark to Blitz, but really, you just kind of think, oh, that's a bit charming, isn't it?
It might be rude not to make an appearance.
Veronica! Of course, that fucking bitch.
I will say, it's rather concerning you have an entire party devoted to hating you, though, Blitz.
First thing, we can see how Blitz views his ex, Veronica. Obviously, we know that from episode 3 of season 1, but it's oddly cool to see it be brought up here immediately as he sees her name. He just views her as a bitch, despite the fact that she didn't really do anything outrageous to him in their relationship, so he has no reason to be genuinely mad, well, that mad at her. It is valid for him to be mad about the hate party, but just Veronica. I mean, she didn't do anything crazy to him, but obviously that is how Blitz is. He'll get angry at people who show too much emotion because he thinks that they're trying to tease him all the time because he's not worth loving. That's so incredibly shown here, but then obviously Stolas, very intelligent.
Concerning you have an entire party devoted to hating you, though.
He notes that it's very interesting that he has a party revolved around him, very obviously insinuating that he knows that Blitz is kind of an asshole to other people, that he kind of sees through him now and thinks, well, there's loads of other people. He must just be like this with everyone, which makes him kind of a bit comforted by that. Stolas is a little bit, maybe.
Oh, please, everyone hates me for shitty reasons. In the end, everyone's just bitter they couldn't tie this ass down.
So that mask is on. He's trying to act confident in front of Stolas because obviously it's quite a wide realm of insecurity for him, so he wants to play it off cool. That is kind of like what most people do. If they're insecure about something, they'll just play it off with a confident face on. Nothing out of the ordinary there. It's actually quite relatable. That's what's really good about Hell of a Boss, is that it portrays people so well through these demon characters that you can see a bit of yourself in them if you do these type of things.
I'm too much imp to simp.
You really think that's the reason?
Yes, sir. They couldn't handle it. I moved on.
Oh.
Now, I have just put the air conditioning on, sorry if you can hear that, but Blitz is trying to play this off a little bit more, just saying that he's too much imp to simp, as if he's so desirable that Stolas would be lucky to be with him. And as some of you may know, a lot of people who are lonely, not all people, but many, will put on this confident facade and make them seem like they're great, because they want to hide away from that and make it seem as if they are perfect.
So you're used to being the one who crushes others' feelings, hmm?
If by crushes others' feelings you mean in shit before it gets serious, then bingo.
So Stolas does get a bit angry there and calls him out on his crap, and it's like, oh, so this is who you are then? And Blitz basically agrees with it, but twists it so much that Stolas doesn't want to ask any further questions. If he had just agreed with it, Stolas would have just been like, well, why would I want to hang out with you? Why would I want to be in a relationship with you if this is who you are? If you want to break people down and not have connections, if you don't care for others, why should I spend time with you? But he twists it and makes it seem like they're stupid and he's stupid. And if Stolas was to reply with that, he would just be stupid and have no brain because, you know, relationships, am I right?
I'm doing everyone a favor because relationships are boring.
Oh yes, very boring.
And we can see how Stolas reacts to that. He twitches very much so and twists himself, and with a very crooked smile just agrees with him. Yes, very boring, of course. Practically taking the piss out of him because Blitz is just talking out of his ass right now and someone has to tell him.
So what are you doing here then?
Waiting for you to realize how good an angry fuck would be right now.
And you can see there he responds with anger once again because he wants to hide that. This is a very interesting pattern with Blitz. When he gets so beat down, he just responds with anger. When he doesn't know what to say, he responds with anger, seen as if him doing that is emphasizing what he's saying, but really he's just shouting and it's just unpleasant for everyone. In fact, him shouting just makes what he's saying less important because he seems weaker and therefore people aren't going to listen to what he says or take it into consideration as much because, why, he's shouting. Why would you listen to that guy?
Get out. Right now.
What?
I'm tired of this.
Stolas puts his foot down and he has all the right to. It's his property and Blitz should get out of it. Despite what Stolas has done, all he wants right now is peace. And he deserves that. And he knows that he's done wrong, but he himself can't apologize for it either. So they're both in the same boat right now, but their execution and the way that they act upon it is completely different. And that's what's great about these two characters and why they flow so well in the show. Because the writers truly know how to make two characters that flow well with each other.
I'm uncomfortable with how you're speaking to me now.
Oh, come on, Stolas.
Stolas literally opens up. He's saying that he's tired of this. He doesn't want this. He's open. He's getting emotional in hope that that'll get to Blitz and just spark something in his brain that will kind of change him and make him listen and get out of here. But to see the lengths that Stolas is willing to go to get him out and have that peace and quiet, it's really sad and you can't help but feel for him. Despite what he's done, all he wants right now, like I've been saying this whole time, is just to be on his own.
You can't tell me this isn't a fantasy of yours. You want me to show your rich, princey ass what a real fucking is.
And here he is, Blitz is back again, completely disregarding what he's saying, moving on, brushing it off as if it's nothing and going back to what he wants. He's always trying to push what he wants onto others. In fact, if you think about it, he actually does this with Eminem. It's very obvious in the series that Blitz is quite interested and very envious of their relationship, Millie and Moxie. And he's always trying to push this idea of a threesome onto them, you know, this twisted fantasy of his that he's trying to push onto them and project onto them. And he disregards any arguments against it or other things they want to say and just moves on to that because that's what he's interested in. Blitz, as we know him, the mask of Blitz, not the true Blitz under that mask, the mask that Blitz puts on, doesn't care about anyone else but himself. But deep down we know that he does care because we can tell when he's upset that he does. Otherwise he wouldn't get upset at all. There would be no need for a mask if this was Blitz. If this truly was Blitz, there'd be no need for that mask, but there is that mask, so therefore this is not him.
Stop it.
Ha! I'm right, aren't I? You get off to getting plowed by people you look down on.
Weirdly enough, Blitz is attempting to read Stolas right now. It's very weird. He's like trying to call him out like, yeah, I realize this. It's like those people who notice other people's actions and then like moan to you thinking that they know how they think when they obviously don't. That's why I never come into these videos acting like I know everything. Because I don't, and I'm always willing to learn and I'm open to criticism in the comments. That's why I always influence my audience to comment. Because I enjoy learning, and when I'm disagreed with, I enjoy seeing other sides and different views from other people. But Stolas is very much acting like this person that we all probably know, that person who's like, oh, Bob, he's probably having some bad time at home. He's probably in a broken home with a family who doesn't love him. All because he beat him at basketball, you know? There's always that guy who makes assumptions and always thinks that he's right, and Blitz is being that guy right now, which is another relatable thing that Hell of a Boss brings to the table that's quite subliminal that I've only noticed just now as of speaking on this. But there are different parts of Blitz that represent genuine, real people that you can actually think of in your head. It's like Blitz is acting very much like, right now, or that thing that Blitz just did, it's very akin to what this guy does that I know. It's very interesting, really.
I don't look down on you. How many times do I... When have I ever...
Now, this moment, this phrase has been memed to absolute death. It is in shambles right now. There is no way to even speak on this. Obviously, Stolas has done that. You know, all those times, just search this up. Search up when have I ever Stolas, and it will just come up with 10,000 memes, compilations of clips when he has done this. We all know you're lying right now. He's acting out of anger and he's saying things that he doesn't truly mean because he knows that he's secretly wrong. How interesting is that? That's so incredibly well written. The hypocrisy in what he says is quite potent right now. It's very interesting and honestly quite annoying, but the way that the writers are able to just completely flip it from you hating Blitz but then now hating Stolas and thinking, well, they're both in the wrong right now, or they're also not, blah blah blah, you know, whatever. But the way that it flips so seamlessly there and you notice that and you understand that, that's very interesting. It's very well written.
You speak just like that vile striker friend of yours, the one who tried to kill me and you couldn't be bothered to come help me.
And now he's relating Blitz to his arch nemesis, really, isn't he? Who does he hate more in the world than Striker right now? He's had so many run-ins with him. We've had more run-ins with him than anyone else. And the fact that it's so close to home as well, because Stolas has been in his hands and he's been tortured by him. This is oddly a good point, and why the writing is so well done here, because you just hated Blitz, then you hate Stolas, and now you're back to hating Blitz again. It's like, wow, that's so incredible how quick you can switch and how they can make you switch and make everyone switch as well. Most reactions to this video have the reactor switch just as quickly. It seems like this show has a way of just drawing the same emotions from every single person who watches it. It's also a great jab at Blitz because he's so close to this Striker guy, obviously for the wrong reasons, and to say that he is acting similar to someone who he views as pathetic and so low down in comparison to him, that'll really hurt him. That'll hit him in that core there because it's so close to him and something that he genuinely thinks about about a lot.
Remember him?
Hey, look, I do not sound like... And I didn't know he was capable.
See how he's breaking there? He's doing it again. Brandon is so good at doing that in his acting. The way that he's trailing off and thinking of it is like, completely all over the place, because we know there, we can see it within him. He doesn't show it. He doesn't break down into tears. He uses that other emotion, anger. He uses that instead of sadness or guilt. He uses anger to fight back, a fiery way of lashing out at someone and changing the subject in a way to get it away from there. But now he's just saying, oh, no, I'm better than him. He wants to prove it's like, I'm not like Stryker. I'm not like that guy. He's hurt you so badly. I would never hurt you that badly. But really, in an emotional sense, he might have hurt him just as much as Stryker did in the physical sense. At least in Stolas' head, they will be held with the same weight and importance, because obviously his physical health was hurt by Stryker, but his mental health was damaged just as much in a similar amount by Blitz. So that's a really great point.
Stopped him the first time, didn't I?
The first time?
Oh, he said it. Now that's, that's something, isn't it? That's pretty interesting to say the least.
Yeah, Oh. Oops. No, who said that?
You knew.
Again, you see his body language. He's scratching his head to try and change the subject, just try and make things a bit more comfortable for him, draw attention away from the situation, and obviously the stuttering, greatly done by Brandon once again. And then Stolas.
Who someone was trying to assassinate me?
Look at Blitz's face. He's so shocked right now because he's realized that he screwed up so badly. The trust that Stolas has in Blitz right now was already low. Now it's gone. It's minus. It's in the negative numbers right now. And honestly, that's probably my favorite part of the argument. He's so quickly there trying to scramble to make things better and change things and make him be viewed in a different sense, but then Stolas is just calling him out exactly, says exactly what we're thinking, because it's so relatable to me as the viewer. That's why it's my favorite part, because it's something that I was literally thinking as he was saying that, and then it literally, Stolas says it. That's so incredibly well done.
I stopped him, and I really didn't think you could actually get hurt. You're immortal and shit. You're a fucking prince.
See how he's like scrambling there, and then he just goes, you're in prince. Like, he very much lashes there to make that point known and conjure up some more confidence. Blitz is very torn here between trying to validate his own faults and attempting to seem confident. He's so torn between the two, he keeps switching over and over again. It just amounts to nothing, doesn't it? It doesn't really mean much anymore.
If me and my team could kick that guy's ass that easily, then I'm sure you'd have no problem.
I suppose you are right. Silly me. It's not an imp's place to protect a Goetia.
Look at Blitz's subtle smile there in the animation. Blitz is trying to make Stolas seem like, oh, you can do this and that, you don't need me, but then you also do for this. He's trying to like make it seem more, he's trying to flip it, isn't he, really? He's trying to make it seem like he's great and then be like, but you also need this, you're not that because you don't have this, you don't have me. You need to keep chasing after me. You can defend yourself, just forget about that. Do this, it doesn't matter. I thought you could do this, it's fine. But there's also this part, the one thing that I know that I'm good at, that I'm attempting to place upon you now and ignite that flame once again. So that's where the tear comes back. Blitz is saying that Stolas doesn't need him to protect him. He's trying to get what he wants, but also clear the allegations put on his head. But it's not really working, is it? And then Stolas summarizes what Blitz is trying to say, what he's attempting to get across, and then just says it sarcastically back to him. But then Blitz is just like,
and there it is.
oh, I just cut it then. But anyway, he takes that sarcasm, just agrees with it. He's like, yeah, you're trying to be sarcastic and get to me, you're trying to affect me, but no, I'm just going to agree with it because I'm so confident in myself. Really trying to push that. Is it working? I mean, arguably not.
Took you long enough.
That's all you were waiting for, wasn't it? For me to play into this idea you have of me, that I'm this prince who thinks he's so much better than you.
Stolas then breaks down again and just says, this is what you want. I've given you what you want now. That is what you wanted from me. You want me to agree and say this stuff about you, but I don't think that. Stolas is really trying to make his emotions heard. Yet for some odd reason, aka Blitz, it's not working. Because Blitz isn't willing to hear anyone else's opinion. He just wants everyone to agree with his and move on with their day.
Well, I don't. Why would I allow everyone to see how much I like you? How I've tried so fucking hard to spend time with you, to support you. You don't owe me those things, but you can't just ignore all that.
Now that arguably is a really good point from Stolas. He really wants to try and he's showing that affection. He tries to hold hands with him in Aussies. He messages him saying, let's just skip the arrangement and you can come round and we can chat. But really, that's not what Blitz wants or knows that he wants. He's always straying away from that because he thinks that it'll make him look weak. So no, he's never really experienced being loved and loving back because he runs away from it every time to not seem like he's weak. So yes, Stolas, you have tried to help Blitz, but it's not what he wants. wants right now, or he knows that he wants. He's not aware of it, therefore why would he try it? Stolas should know by now that Blitz isn't willing to try new things. Even old things such as being on a stage in front of a crowd of people. As we see in Season 2, Episode 2, he's really scared and he has a lot of anxiety. He just sits there when he's on the stage. The fact that he's afraid to do things that he has previously done, he's definitely not willing to do things that are new to him. Especially with the stigma that he has around love, it's not the right way to go about it.
You know, Stolas, I spent the entirety of this morning listening to love ballads, and that was still the
Gayest thing I've heard all day!
Now that is a great joke, don't get me wrong, but the amount of deflecting that Blitz is doing, just trying to get that all away from him. I don't want to do this, I want to hear this. Everything about love is a joke. He's trying to play this off as if he's never felt lonely. It's like, I'm not lonely, I'm fine with what I'm doing now. Sex is all I need, I don't need any of the other stuff that comes with it, none of the commitments. It's just a waste of time, it's stupid. But that's when he shouts, and you see, like I've been saying this whole time, he shouts. And as soon as you notice that the first time, you notice it every other time. You're like, oh, he's shouting now, he's obviously insecure about something. He's trying to play it off confident and like it's a joke. It's like, yeah, this is the gayest thing, and it may be even very shouty, but he's also trying to play it off as if it's nothing.
Do you feel any kind of remorse for what you do? Have you ever even apologized once in your life?
Stolas does make a really good point. He really wants to know this about Blitz. He's like, do you feel any remorse? Because he's genuinely upset, and Stolas is tired of trying. Yes, it can be argued he's not tried hard enough, and he has done bad things that have put Blitz in this mindset, but he still has tried in his own way, and though his own way didn't work, and it's not up to the standard that it should have been, he still tried hard doing that thing that wasn't worth it, no, but still he tried hard to attempt to make it work because he thought that it would work.
Think I can't apologize? For what? You want me to be like, oh, sorry this entire time? I assumed the worst because I was convinced a prince could never love someone like me, and I let my self-hatred stop me from apologizing to anyone I could never care about.
Now that's a lot to digest there, isn't it? So many things that I've genuinely forgot half of what he's just said, and I watched it with full attention. First of all, he says, you think I can't apologize? That's him taking it as a challenge, and that's the whole point of the episode. It's just to get back at him. He's doing it because he's petty. He's trying to get back at Stolas for something that he didn't even do. And it's so sad to see that's the way that Blitz has been taught to deal with things, is to get back at them and show them that you're better and you can do this your own way and you don't need them. Because that's what his dad did. He was like, oh, just get out of here. We don't need you. We'll do it without you. Fizzerol is better than you. He always will be. And he has that card that he gives to Fizz, wish you were my son. Throughout his whole life, Blitz has always been seen as disposable. So he's just adopted that and he's embraced it, which seems like a good thing on the outside, but he hasn't embraced it with the right intention. He's not embraced it as this is a part of me and now I can change, you know, I am this, I think that I'm disposable, here's how I can make that different, what can I do to make that better? Instead, he's like, I'm disposable, I'm gonna go tell everyone that I am disposable, I'm just gonna do everything that can make me hurt, everything that can make me feel pain, all those self-destructive habits. Well, I'm worth nothing, I'm disposable, I'm gonna die, it doesn't matter. It's a very nihilistic view on it that isn't working in his favor right now.
Well, yes. That.
That's all Stolas wanted, was for him to just open up and admit that he can't feel love for people. He feels disgusted and upset at the idea of loving someone because he thinks that he is unlovable by someone so highly in status as Stolas. He practically said it, he's nothing and he thinks he's nothing and he doesn't love himself and he can't do this because he thinks that he's disposable, for he has no traits that give him meaning and worth, make him undisposable. How sad is that to hear, let alone understand? It's one thing to hear it, but to analyze it and understand the nitty-gritty of it and realize that fully in full force with your full clarity of your mind, that is really upsetting.
Well, fuck you! I can sorry the fuck out of people, just you watch! I sorried Fizz so hard he cried!
And there he is, he's taking it as a challenge, proving to Stolas that, hey, I can't apologize to you because you're unforgivable. Not me, I'm not the one, you are. But really, it's less of that. It's not you're unforgivable, it's that I'm more forgivable than you, therefore you're unforgivable. Which is a way more impactful way to view it, and a sad way at that.
And I can sorry more people, everyone but you, because I don't owe you dick! Everyone but you.
Well, that's that. It concludes. He repeats to himself, everyone but you. Really trying to put Stolas down, even to himself when Stolas isn't listening. He's like, yeah, I agree with myself right now. When he truly doesn't, does it? Deep down, he knows that's not true. And that's why he has to give that affirmation to make his brain think that so it doesn't question otherwise. Now, that was a great segment, and that's going to be the end of this video, actually. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Click a video on screen that best suits you. The one on the right was picked by YouTube just for you, and the one on the left, that is my most recent video. Most recent, isn't that crazy? I hope you guys enjoyed. enjoy. This was a great one. Very much enjoyed it. Sorry about the air conditioning. It's just boiling in England right now. It is roasting. It's all over my community tab. So yeah, it's the one thing that's getting these videos out anyway. Without it, I'd be completely roasting and dead because I've experienced it previously. Anyway, I thank you all for watching. Stay positive. Goodbye.